Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. Now, Deku, Marcy, and Chloe, they went after Courier 6. When they did, they found out he was hiding in Prim in the Enclave. They were hot on his tail. They had him locked down in a building where he had their commanders in charge of the operation captured. He barricaded himself inside the Vic and Vance casino inside of Prim. They were trying to figure out what to do. Reinforcements were already called in because of how delicate this matter became. And Deku, Marcy, and Chloe, they came packing heat. Deku and Chloe went in under the cover of night to try and sneak into the casino. However, things quickly got loud. They were aware that whenever a vertibird was going to land, Marcy would have to blow it out of the sky. She took down 2. The third one, yeah. Something jumped off of it and landed on the ground. The third vertibird never made it to the ground. And that was very bad. However, what landed on the ground wasn't someone in a suit of Exo 1 power armor like she thought. What Deku found, bursting through the door of the casino, was John, a super mutant and a fellow Vault Dweller. Someone he hasn't seen since they were being experimented on over a year ago. And that was very bad. Courier 6 tried to use the confusion to run. Marcy shot him with the anti-material rifle, and Chloe ran over and began to loot him, patting him down and frantically trying to find where the chip was, while also trying to keep an eye on Deku and John exchanging blows. Their fight nearly brought down the building, and it was mainly these two just throwing fists and crashing into things. Eventually, John tried to charge Chloe, and he collapsed one side of the building. When they left, they had to climb up the building and steal the vertibird. That was already tricky enough. Though John, he tried to throw debris to take them down, Deku fired a missile launcher at him. Marcy tried to do what she could with her sniper rifle and take out Enclave troops with her gun. Meanwhile, the courier, he was left in the casino, presumably with a hole put in his gut. Now then, with that being said, Chloe, she was quite happy to get out of there. However, she's also very happy she put herself through those simulations multiple times. It's a real good thing she's competitive with her sister. And right now, she's thankful for that and grateful for it. It does leave a bad taste in her mouth, but she can deal with that later. Talk to her and let her know about this whole situation. Now then, with that being said, let's cut to the 3. Right now, Deku, he's been trying to find any trace of a tracker while they've been flying. He's pulled out certain pieces of location equipment, tossing them out of the door of the vertibird in the back. And Chloe, she's trying to think of a place to land this aircraft. There's a lot of ideas she can go to. Take it to the cons, bring attention to them. Go to Jacobstown, yeah. A whole lot of super mutants not happy with humans, that would be a bad idea too. Marcy suggested going to a cave. But there was also another suggestion Chloe had. Vegas. If they take the vertibird to Vegas, it's gonna be very, very simple. Courier 6 knows Mr. House owns the platinum chip. So why don't they be predictable? Right now, her going to toggle the aircraft into hover mode, landing it in the rail yard in Freeside. Right now, nearby where the Van Graffs do have their business. And some Securitrons do gonna make their way over. Right now, them with their weapons at the ready. And whenever they do gonna come over, one does gonna say halt before it does gonna freeze and a voice does come through. What exactly are you three doing? I would have expected you three to do something else. You've caused quite the commotion, and it has been quite aggravating. Right now, them going to step forward as Deku is still in the aircraft. Him beginning to pull out some stuff from his bags and going to hear Chloe smugly pull out the platinum chip and wave it around the air, talking about it. Look what they found. Right now, Mr. House going to freeze. And he does jump directly back into business mode. I see. Well, I believe I can overlook this. You had me worried. Vegas's defenses were trying to activate. And while it would have taken up significant power to activate them, I would rather not. It is a problem, which hopefully you can address later at another point. Sure we can. But we got another problem. Right now, that thing has a tracker on it, and he's trying to pull it out. Go over what he can, and make sure to get any other loose ends. Give him whatever we need. And we'll bring this thing over to the Lucky 38. That's true. However, right now, we also do need to rest a little bit. It's been a busy day, and I have to look over her wounds. That sounds alright. Though, do come to the Lucky 38. I can give you a private suite in the presidential suite. Really? Yes. And if I am misreading this is a time for celebration. There is a cocktail lounge inside the building if you three would like to celebrate. Plenty of alcohol, and I'm sure I can have someone restock it if you do run low. The two gonna turn, looking at each other. The idea of a cocktail lounge, not too bad. And Chloe does get a turn, making her way over and going to ask Deku if he's ready. Right now, him with his legs dangling inside the passenger compartment, as he does have his face nearly buried under the dash. Him going to somewhat pull himself out and sit up, talking about it. He doesn't see much about tracking left in the aircraft. However, he's disabled certain other systems. The thing can still fly, but maybe go over it a bit more in depth later. Him going to slide over, and they're going to hop down. Before she does, go to step forwards and pull him into an embrace. Deku going to wrap his arms around her into a hug, talking about how that got really crazy out there. It did. Glad I can rely on you. Are you okay? You know she can still hear us. I know. But it was John. And you look like you took some pretty bad wounds. Her backing away and bringing a hand up to his side. Right now, going to stare at the massive bruise that's still there. Marcy used Stimpaks to heal it. And looking at Deku's arm, yeah. The damage is somewhat still there. I'll be fine. I'm just gonna be tender for a while. I know I wasn't expecting to battle another giant. Yeah, we can talk more about that later. Right now, do you think it'll be fine here? It should be, but once we get to Nellis, we can look more into it. We need someone to guard it, though. A Securitron walking over as it does get a turn, and 5 others do begin to set up a patrol as the one with Mr. House's face on it does express. Again, as he said before, that can all be taken care of with the Securitrons. The next phase of their plan is going to be very, very simple. But he does believe that can be saved for another time. It can. But that's another story. Yes, it is. You must go to Cottonwood Cove now. There is a facility there, which I do believe the Platinum Chip will be used for. It is, instead of a maintenance building, and down a set of stairs. I can give you a more in-depth understanding as to the location, but all of you look like you need some rest. Once you get there, you can proceed. And I do hope that you understand I'm quite enthusiastic for this. But in order for our partnership to succeed, I need all of you in fighting shape. We understand that. Right now, though, I definitely won't say no to getting washed off. Yes. Well, I do have a reservoir inside the building for you to shower from. Though, just be careful about using up all the water. Is it hot water? The man going to stare at her, and her grin does get a little bit wider. Right now, Marcy even going to smile herself. And the three, you're going to strut down the road and towards the Lucky 38. Them arriving and heading up to the presidential suite and finding this place. There are multiple rooms here. The master bedroom, the dining room, the bathroom, the guest room, the other guest room. I mean, hell. It's a beautiful place. There's a refrigerator, there's a bar, and the master bedroom, it's huge. It's got wardrobes. And right now, Deku, he does get to eat down a very big meal before Marcy and Chloe do to head off to get themselves cleaned up and look at Chloe's wounds. Right now, Deku waving Marcy's care off, talking about Chloe's injuries. And whenever he does get to sit down, he does have a lot going through his head. Letting out a sigh and going to bring up his Pip-Boy. Day 677. We just encountered John. Now, before anyone does get their hopes up, no, he's not like us. Not in the same instance, I believe. He's working with the Enclave. I don't know in what capacity, but he is. It's unfortunate. Yes, I am going to try and do what I can, but I believe John may have become the enemy. Be it through some form of coercion or mental tampering. It's quite common in the wasteland for some things like that to happen. We've encountered a weapon that... Well, never mind. Anyways, we encountered John. He became a similar creature to me. FEV is a strange serum or concoction. There's multiple strains of it in the wasteland to my understanding. And there are multiple types of super mutants. John grew to the size of a super mutant behemoth. I don't know if that's the strain of FEV he was affected with, or exactly if it was some form of mental tampering. Physical tampering, genetic tampering, the whole 9 yards. The Enclave had a lot more time to mess with him, and if I'm correct, he was more than 25 feet tall. We stole a vertibird from an Enclave patrol. We fought in a town called Prim, and things got more heated than I believe we expected. We stole the vertibird and came back to Vegas. Right now, I am sitting in the Lucky 38 casino with a bottle of whiskey and a bathrobe. I'm not exactly cleaned up, but I gave myself a thorough rinse off. The girls are, I guess, in the tub. They're definitely enjoying this year. It's only a matter of time before we come home. And I'm hoping that whatever happened last year, those people are still alright. John mentioned experiments. I can only hope everything is going well inside the vault and people haven't been sent out. We failed last year to return and stop the Enclave. I will take full responsibility for whatever happened to those people and make sure that they're either returned safely to the vault or put down if they're deemed to be a mental threat. I've already had to do a lot of things in this wasteland, and out here I'm not proud of, and that won't change this declaration. I want to come home. See you, Mom, see you, Dad, see everyone. I don't think I've ever put this in the records, but here it goes. I want to make amends with Chelsea. Chelsea, I forget how to pronounce her last name correctly. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I'll go ahead and just leave that out for right now. But to all those who are listening in, just know, she was someone I knew, and I wish to make sure things are alright between me and her. Never mind, I'll probably just have this sealed. I'm bringing up old shit, and right now that's not good. My 20th birthday was a few months ago. I wonder what we'll be doing. Then again, I'm sure I'll have time to figure out what to do for my next birthday. Hopefully I can spend it back home. God willing. Signing off. Deku going to flip his wrist and stop the recording, bringing his hand up and hovering over the log. He's made hundreds of them. And right now, this one, it's one of the ones he's thinking about deleting. He's deleted quite a few of them. Quite a few. And right now, this one is no exception. It's not even the worst thing he's said to his Pip-Boy. But it's certainly something he may not want to enclose in the records. Right now, Deku going to look back on the record and the audio log. before he does go to delete it. Right now, him going to stare at it and re-record, talking about John, talking about Prim, and then talking about their encounter with the courier. Right now, him even talking about what happened to the people that were experimented on because they failed to return within a year. And then even bringing up about this year. Deku, he already swore that he'd take responsibility for what happens to those people. And he even talks about what happens if they might be late this year. That thought being one he doesn't want to tread on. And right now he doesn't find himself sitting there silently, thinking about that. 2 consecutive years out in the wasteland. Huh. Probably about a year and a half on the surface. Technically, the Enclave's labs and prison cells he wouldn't count. The 6 months of torture, yeah, still underground. That thought annoying him. That doctor is still out there somewhere. That's someone they definitely have to deal with. Deku flicking his Pip-Boy closed and trying to think. Chelsea Woods? Chelsea... He's forgetting if her last name has some sort of special enunciation. How many different ways can you pronounce wood? It doesn't matter. No, it really doesn't. He's just a ghost of her past now. And he's moved on. He can think back on it sometimes. Try and distract himself. Wonder what could have been. But he chose this. He has to live with this choice. And he does gotta hate himself a little bit. Him slapping himself across the face as he does just try to get a hold of himself. He's distracting himself, trying to avoid what he actually wants to think about. God damn it, thinking about what could have been and what really is troubling him. Just get your shit together. Just try not to think about what happened to John. Shit, they left him behind. And he turned into that. He turned into an Enclave soldier, an Enclave slave. That pisses him off. That's their fault. Had John been the one to rush out that door, he would have been a slave. No, he wouldn't be a slave. He'll die before he becomes a slave again. He's already had too many collars put on him. And that thought does make Deku feel the aggression. Feel the wild side of him thrash. He will not submit to another living creature again. And that is something these sides can agree on. They fought tooth and nail to survive. They will continue to survive. And right now Deku's brooding is cut off when the girls do to come into the room and Chloe does have a handful of sarsaparilla bottles and Nuka-Colas wrapped in her arms. Her excitedly talking about how the vending machine is fully stocked. And that does bring a grin to his face. They do have a small celebration. They have snacks, they have alcohol, and they have each other. And right now Deku, he does let the night get away from him. The next morning he does gotta wake up. Him going to sit up and stretch, feeling well rested. As he does go to make his way out of the room and go to Mr. House. Right now, him going to step into the room and go to create the Assaultron, make his way down to the computer. And the man, he does go to appear expressing. Well, he is quite early. And here he had room service, getting things prepared for him and his allies. Then again, with what he heard last night, well, he didn't expect them to be up so early either. High tolerance. Listen. You want us to go to Cottonwood Cove, correct? Yes, I've already had a plan to send out an emissary that way. A Securitron with explicit directions not to be hostile. It will tell those there that you are coming. And whenever it does, I will relay the orders that the Legion do give me. If everything does go well, you should be able to make your way to the fort. The fort. Yes, the camp at Cottonwood Cove. It's a foothold like the Mojave Outpost. However, upriver is the fort. It's on the other side of Hoover Dam. The NCR control the dam from one side inside of Vegas. The Legion control the other. They've been fighting over it for a number of years. I see. There is an outpost at the dam, if you're so inclined to go. I believe there is an armory, and even people there set up with directives to hold the place. It's nearby Boulder City as well. Okay. Why are you bringing that up? Because I believe it is information you should have, in case things get dicey. I've known a lot of people in my life. I've worked with a multitude of wastelanders, some I can trust and some who are dicey. I've even met a real cowboy. A man who thinks things aren't as simple as they come. He had a saying, but even now it eludes me. Listen, if everything does go well for you, then know that you should be able to walk out of there alive and well. If things do get dicey, I'm expecting to hear news of Kaiser's death. I see. Caesar certainly might die if things do go badly. But that does ultimately depend on what he may talk about. Though, I can guarantee his death if I do hear he sided with the Enclave. Yes, I'm quite certain Caesar would be so inclined to a rapidly expanding mutant army. Yes, that does sound like his brand of crazy. But then again, Rome was not built in a day. No, it wasn't. Mr. House, going to express. When things are all prepared, let Victor know. Then he'll send the emissary in. For right now, however, breakfast will be provided for them soon. It should come up quickly. Him going to nod, stepping out of the room and going to leave. As there is where they do make their way over to the presidential suite. Right now, Deku going to get some food and talk to the two. All of them are quite lively this morning, quite happy. They're well aware that things should be going well, and about what is going to happen. Then again, should they take the vertebra to Cottonwood Cove or drop it off over at Nellis? If they go to Nellis, then they'll be able to make their way directly to the fort. They should be able to see it from the sky. Then again, Cottonwood Cove may be a better idea. Either way, they're aware that the Scorch Beast woman is going to be there. And Kaisar, yeah, with what he's heard about the man, he may definitely try and change tactic upon seeing Marcy. Chloe, yeah, the man is going to have a field day when he finds out what they are, sees them in action. As far as he's aware, Chloe, she's kept the lowest profile out of all of them. That's a good idea, actually. Only the NCR knows about Chloe. And Izuku does even go to bring this up. Right now, them both looking at each other and looking back at Deku. And a plan does begin to form. Chloe can make her way down wherever they need to and go activate the army. Once they do that, they can quickly leave. Then again, that is a different problem. Okay. They're gonna have to play this well and figure things out from there. Right now, them going to be ready. And there is where they do get a report into Victor. Victor does get a relay directions. The Legion have been made aware that their group is going. And Marcy does get to inquire if the Legion knows the three of them are going. To which he does get to say no. Kaisar has been quite intrigued about Deku, the Deathclaw man. However, he has been made aware that the Scorch Beast will be making an appearance. And that is all. He did not inquire further. Their group was said to be coming along. It was only after more inquiry that Kaisar asked questions, and that was where it was left. Them all happy about this. They have a bit more of the element of surprise. Right now, them going to leave. They do get to head out. Right now, heading off to go grab their vertibird and put it down in Nellis. And whenever Deku does go to run ahead to Nellis, he does inform them as to what's going on. Chloe and Marcy do come flying in on the bird. Them coming in with a landing as multiple groups of the Nellis residents, they do come out to see for themselves a newer model flying aircraft. And Raquel, she does come walking over to inspect it. Right now, her eyes, they are intrigued. They've done experiments and even have used the virtual reality pods with the older stuff. They're rebuilding an old plane, but this is newer. Something that exists from before the war. Military grade technology. And right now her eyes do to stare at the vehicle with some hunger. People only taking their eyes off the aircraft over Marcy does get a change and fly off. Right now, them making their way over the air towards the fort. And Kaisar, he's been informed as to who these people are. They are making their way here. He's expecting them to go to Cottonwood Cove and have to take a raft over to the fort. However, he does go to hear a loud sound that does get to catch his attention. Him going to stand up off of his throne and go to leave his tent. Him going to turn his head and sees a massive beast does come flying down and towards the ground. The Scorch Beast is real. And many of the legionaries, they do to get ready, grabbing spears and grabbing guns. One even grabbing a chainsaw, and others getting ready with explosives. Though whenever he does see a man on the back of this beast, he does a shout for them to stand down. And everyone, they do to turn their heads. Caesar standing there with his guards as he does to give the orders again. If he does have to repeat himself, he will take tongues, and those who do attack will have themselves strung up to a cross. This is the man of the hour, the one he spent so much time trying to meet. Now, he does know how to make an entrance, doesn't he? He must be Izuku Midoriya, a living myth. And, well, the Scorch Beast, quite a magnificent creature. Right now, Chloe making way off the other side of Marcy's wings. Marcy turning her head and going to look around to her left, where Chloe got off and then turning to the right. Her currently inspecting the camp as Chloe does make her way away. And Deku does get a step forwards. Right now, him going to express, bring up his hands and telling Caesar. He's heard quite a lot about him, though. Then again, he's quite intrigued to know what the Legion does stand for. But he has another question, folding his arms and turning to Marcy. Him going to tell her she can change back, and people do to watch on as the Scorch Beast does begin to shrink down. And a woman does get to stand in some tattered clothes. Right now, her bending down to the bag that she shrugged off of her wing. Her grabbing a cloak and quickly pulling it over her body to hide herself. And she does get to stand up and turn looking directly at Caesar. And the man does it to meet the woman's gaze as she does it to glare at him with a hatred. And he does get to stare her down before a grin does make its way across his face. Him going to express. Now that is soulmanship. That is an entrance. That is something he can respect. See, a lot of people nowadays lack the finesse he does so enjoy. People don't seem to understand it. It's lovely to meet someone who can play the same damn game. I'm sure it is. But you wanted to speak to me. So speak. I see. I can respect a man who has a backbone and a pair of balls. However, you come to our camp. Here I am in charge. No, you're not. See, I'm fairly certain I can take out quite a number of these men. At least half. And even then, if they take me down, she can still deal with the other half. You'll get close, but you'll get no cigar. Caesar gonna raise his eyebrow. Deku rolling his eyes and talking about it. Things won't go the way he expects. He's learned a lot about himself in these last couple of months, And he does have to say, he's a lot more experienced with his aspects than the Legion is in combat. That is a bold claim you make. Really. Deku's stepping forwards. And whenever the man does get to see Deku begin to have his skin darken, he does go to watch as he does get to brush off the duster and begin to enlarge. His muscles are bulging. And then they do begin to hear the cracks. Right now, them watching his fingers elongate as his spine does go to grow. And he does go to stand there. Right now, Kaisar going to see it. And he does get to stand there in disbelief, watching a man transform into a Deathclaw. And when Deku does get to do so, he does get to go down on all fours and swipe away at the sand underneath his hands. Him standing onto his two legs and go to make his way up to full size. And many members of the Legion do still go to glare him down, ready to fight. They outnumber him, so they should be able to take him on. Right? They outnumber the Deathclaw man. You see, I don't think you understand what I smell. What I'm surrounded by. I'm surrounded by fear and dead men. Right now, Caesar going to grin, trying to resist the urge to burst out laughing, but he still can't believe it. Those rumors were true. And he does go to bring his hands up and clap, talking about it. It's nice to meet someone who understands. Then again, he does have to say he really is in shock. Come, they will meet, and he will have many of his slaves prepare a feast. Today is a grand day. Deku still glaring at many members of the Legion around him. And he does go to turn back to Marcy and go to bend down. Right now, him whispering. Does she think Chloe can handle it? I'm sure she can. Though right now, her bringing a hand up to his reptilian face. Right now, they have to keep him busy and keep him talking. Find out if he sided with the Enclave. They don't have much information on this side of the Mojave. Right. I can keep him talking. Stay by my side. I don't plan to leave it. Not here. Besides, I don't think they want to hear me scream. Right now, him going to let out his tongue and go to have it flop to the side with a strange smile. And she does a stare at that before she does it, push his face away and talk about how his breath is bad, change back. And right now, Deku does go to comply. Many members of the Legion going to stand down whenever Kaisar does give the order. And they do to make their way up to the commander's tent. Well, Chloe, she made her way into a building and underground, trying to figure out what she needs to do. But when she ran into some of the Lucky 38 system and talked to Mr. House, he began to guide her about it. What she needs to do is quite simple. Go through the defenses and put the platinum chip through the data processor. Think of it this way. Treat it like a slot machine and the coin will spit back out. It just needs to boot everything up and she needs to be careful. If she destroys the generators down there, it will set off security risk. And the sentry bots down there, they will become hostile. Right now, there's a number of security protocols already in place she will need to take down. And Chloe does understand. Right now, her going to bring up her shotgun and try to think about it. Her replacing the magazine in her assault rifle instead, since she'll need to take on robots. Hopefully, though, this does go well. Her making way inside the underground facility, hoping that everything does go well, and still somewhat worried about what's going on the surface. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.